one of your interviews, you talked about how difficult it was at some points to put pen to paper, to actually start, like to go from it, thinking about a song to putting it down,
Mm-hmm.
as if there was a barrier, like
Mm-hmm.
a little barrier that has to be overcome.
Well, the way that I wrote songs earlier in Paid with a Line with Winners Never Quit and with Control is that I would conceptualize, like, I want to write a song about such and such, or that this is the tension, this is sort of the topic, and this is the tension in the song. And usually I would fantasize about that to a degree that made it difficult to actually pull the trigger and start writing it, which I later decided was an unhealthy way to write, and instead it's better just to sit down without any preconceived ideas about the song and just start writing. On Winners Never Quit, I really conceptualized the songs because they were like little scenes in a play or in a story or whatever, and so each scene needed to accomplish a certain thing, and I knew its function in the story before. In a lot of cases, I even wrote music or anything like this. So I wrote the lyrics to 4 of the 8 songs on the night before mixing and
How's that possible?
mid-mixing. It was time to record the vocal, and so I had to write lyrics for that song. For A Mind of Her Own, the music was all done. I had some sense of the melody, and it was time to record the vocals, so I just got out a pen and paper and started writing. And thankfully, I'd been subconsciously mulling it over for so long that it was pretty much just right there. And it's not by any stretch the song I'm the most proud of lyrically or anything, but
which one is more, is one other method, one of the other method more creatively satisfying?
yeah, just sitting down with no preconceived ideas about what you're about to do and just trying to make something up is by far, for me personally, the more satisfying way of working, because in a sense it's a process of discovery as much as it is a process of expression.
Are you ever surprised by what you discover?
I don't feel like I have been all that surprised, which is not
Oh, really?
not great. No, let me think. Well, yeah, I have been surprised because I never meant to write autobiographical songs for this record that will come out.
And it is autobiographical.
A lot of it is very autobiographical, and I never intended on doing that.
Is there something about the music you're writing now that is like more heartfelt, or like more like you perform it and you feel more of that thing you're going for?
It's way easier to connect with the new songs, I've realized, and I don't know what that means for future songs. I really don't fancy the idea of being like an autobiographical singer songwriter or whatever, but man, these songs are way easier to connect with.
You always seem to be a guy that was pretty exposing of your inner workings.
Yeah.
But this is maybe a step deeper into that sort of exposure, and it may not feel that way to you, and I'm not sure it'll feel that way to the listener, but
It probably will, I don't know, but it probably feels more to it exposing to me than it would another level of exposure to the listener, because a lot of the work has felt.
It's felt autobiographical.
Yeah, and that coupled with, my my openness about things what one not ought to be open with strangers about.
I mean, I'm guessing in any artist, there's a tension between no exposure means no sales.
That is a good point, because I've often said and thought that if I didn't owe it to the record label and owe it, and also need personally to sell albums, that I probably wouldn't do interviews, because they're just a really unnatural. The frequency of interviews is unnatural, I think. But we do interviews and we do press because it sells. It helps to sell records. And when you're talking about the difference between making $30,000 a year for a family of three and $50,000 a year, yeah, I'll do some interviews. And some people can decide how much of themselves to offer in interviews. And I suppose I can / could too, but I'm not skilled at that.